Right, Michael, we've got to be serious and pay attention.
I know, we're still having a little bit of a laugh about Gemma's dream. I'm kind of a bit jealous because of all the adventures that you get to go to with Coronation Street characters and or cast in your sleep.
Cool.
But,
I am cool.
Yeah, so street talk time for this week's brief episode.
If you're a Coronation Street star or in the production team and you see a shadow in your bedroom at night, it might be me watching you having a little astral projection. Yeah. I don't mean to be creepy.
The people that are just listening to just the street talk segment of this have got no idea what we're talking about.
Well, that's why it's an advert for it to listen to our podcast. An advert
for the first 15 minutes of our podcast. Yes,
it's always full of fun.
Right, we're going to start off with the bullying storyline. I'd called this a Splat the Rat story, but I don't know, Gemma. Maybe I got glares for calling that, so it's now been rechristened as Leave Me Alone. Yeah. Is that suitable?
I don't know what you're supposed to say about this.
We have got the brief romance story, and it was very brief because Dee-Dee and Joel are no longer a couple after Wednesday's episode. We've got the Oh Baby storyline, which was absolutely the highlight of Wednesday. So very, very good episode on Wednesday. It is a good one. It doesn't necessarily describe the story as a whole, Gemma, but Bethany and Lauren wanting to write about her experiences in the Nazi group. We call it the Far Right story, but right is spelled W-R-I-T-E. Which is a literary joke, which I'm sure that Bethany, as a seasoned penman, would appreciate.
Penman, yes, that's what we call ourselves.
You are a pen woman. And I've also written Leanne and Nick.
I don't think that they were Nazis.
Well, whatever.
I don't think you can just call anyone a Nazi.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was a very Nazi thing to call them.
You offended the Nazis.
Okay, and then there's the Leanne story. I've not got a storyline tied to Nick and Leanne's upcoming nuptials, although I probably should because we probably had one before from the millions of other times, so have gone up the aisle, but never mind. Leave Me Alone. I think that you would like to describe this story.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Right, so we've only got 2 episodes to talk about, haven't we?
Yes, it's going to be quick.
Okay, right. So Monday, this is when Maria's holding a vigil at the bedside.
Or is it? She should have just done some astral projecting of her own, shouldn't she? Because she could have stayed in her own bed with Gary and then just watched over Liam.
I would imagine her dreams would have conjured up far darker things than actually did happen, which was that he just was asleep.
Mason's mascara.
Well, she was concerned.
He doesn't wear mascara.
Michael. This is serious.
Sorry.
She was worried that he was looking up how to kill himself, and then she's just scared of leaving him alone. Like, I cannot believe I cannot understand, conceptualise how awful you would feel if this was your child.
I know, it'd be absolutely terrifying, absolutely.
Terrifying. You would never sleep again.
No, well, she didn't. Gary asked her, like, did you sleep? Yeah. No.
She's not, he's not really impressed that she's been there all night, but she can't, she doesn't know what else to do. She needs to know he's okay. And they're going to have to make a doctor's appointment so that she can make sure that he gets help. Yeah.
Good plan. Good job you can get one very quick.
Good plan.
Is very, very serious, and they got the appointment straight away, just like
everyone.
Every other time that somebody wants a doctor, a Gaddis appointment. But...
Well, they do introduce a little bit of realism here, because Dr. Gaddis is there to save the day, but not really, just to wait. You have to wait. So Liam's opening up about how hard things have been for him, and he wants it to stop and to get away from everything. She's asking him about his online searching because she knows why he's there, and she's saying, "Were you curious, or were you planning something like this?" And he says, "I was serious." And then Maria's just sitting there like, "How do you get to this point with your kid? What do you do?" So he's gonna get a CAMHS referral. I don't know what
mental.
That
means. The M and the H is for mental health. It's a child's. I should know that, but I know it is the mental health.
I only brought it up because I thought you knew.
Sorry, it's we just call it CAMHS. It's for referring children to.
What is it? It's a service.
Yeah, it's for referring children to for mental health issues. So put the name down, and then they get people involved, but there is a massive waiting list for things like this to happen. Even more so the last couple of years. I mean, the children's mental health is a big issue at the moment, and it's partly been since the pandemic. But it's so many children's services like that are so completely overwhelmed. It was quite realistic, I'm going to say, that he can't get the help immediately. So I totally got and sympathised with Maria's frustration with the issue.
It stands for Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services.
Thank you. Of course I knew that. Of course.
Oh my God, Michael. So Maria's not happy about this because it's going to take a few months for this to come through, and she says we need something now. And Gada says, well, I'm going to give you some reading, and you need to tell your mum, Liam, if you start to feel this way again. And then she just said to Maria, like, I'm marking this as urgent, but you've got to keep a close eye on him. Just as the same as teachers are, the doctors have their hands tied by the lack of funding and support that is being given to services like this that have been cut by the government. If it's something that you feel strongly about, you need to tackle it where the problem lies, not with the people that are trying desperately to help. The government, your MPs, your local representatives, you need to tell them. You need to vote for the people that are going to get these services to the people that need them. That's just me. That's just my opinion.
I hope there can be a change. We've got an election coming this year, haven't we? And
well, it's not down to me to say anything about beyond what I've just said. To point out who's responsible. It's not Dr. Gaddis. It's not Mrs. Crawshaw.
No.
I mean, it kind of is Mason. But there's nothing really that we can expect him to do about it because he's a horrible scrote.
Yeah, the number of children with mental health issues, with special educational needs, with all these kind of complex needs has rocketed in recent years, but it just feels like the services to deal with them, I don't know whether they've been cut back, but the funding certainly isn't there as much as it should be.
And
and they cannot cope because it's overwhelming at all levels, and that does include the people holding the purse strings. I get that, but it's a real dire situation. It really, really is.
I'm not here to tell you who to vote for or what the solution is, but we all know who's in charge of the government at the moment, and if that is the political ideology that you believe in, then ask them to do something about it. Ask them if that's who you want to vote for. Make sure that they're going to represent.
But it does make me wonder whether when election time starts coming round, what kind of promises both of the main parties will do to try and convince, because I'm sure that the Tories know that lots of people aren't happy with the current situation, and will they? Do they? I'm not going to get involved.
I didn't want to go down the path. I'm just saying.
Well, we can refer to the people who are in power at the moment or not, but we know who that is.
Yeah, but what my point is I'm not trying to demonise anybody who's voted for whatever, and I certainly don't think that it's a good idea to attack people because of their political beliefs, because, conservative, liberal, whatever, you have a right to hold your beliefs, and just because somebody voted for one thing or another doesn't mean that they support what's actually happening. But if you're going to carry on voting for somebody, or you want to put your vote somewhere, and this is an important thing for you that you care about, then make sure your vote's going to the thing that you want to happen. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
As best you can. In a system where there's only a couple of parties that have actually got any chance of getting in the hot seat, but it's dire.
Well, as somebody on the front lines of it, you can attest to this. And I read the news. I know what people are saying. This is, everything's been slashed to the bare bones, and it's now they're hacking the bones up.
Yeah.
Right. So then we get Mason. He is in the precinct because he's
this was a great scene. I love this.
With Dylan.
Yes.
And Gary's walking through. I assume he was going to get a milkshake, but he got put off. He didn't want to buy one in front of Mason. And then Mason starts taunting him. So Gary just comes over and he says, if you try anything with Liam again, I'm going to beat you up. I don't care how old you are.
I can't remember exactly what it was that Mason was saying, but he's quite good. And he does it with George as well. It's say hello to Liam for me.
Yeah, just being
how you doing, Mr. Windass?
Without actually coming out and saying it, being vindictive.
Luke O'Toole, I think he is doing such a great job. Yeah. I honestly do. Mason is absolutely despicable, but I'm enjoying watching him. It's a love to hate. It's not just he's bloody annoying, or I don't like that. Or you do get some villains sometimes that I just feel indifferent to. It's like, I get that they're the villain, they're doing bad things, but I'm really enjoying watching Mason just wind people up
because of personal.
Oh yes, of course. But lots of people. This story has got a huge amount of popularity. Even people were saying on TikTok at the moment, which I don't know anything about, some of the bullying storylines and the clips and everything have got
millions of views.
Yeah. So it's having a profound impact, and I think you can. I mean, I talked last week about how some parts of the story aren't hitting me in the way that it should, but that's just because I'm a crotchety old grump. But I am enjoying seeing the taunting going on from this isn't real, this is drama, and this is a villain. It's
easier to be...
It's like how you can enjoy a panto villain. Not that I'm saying that Luca is being panto about it.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
He's great.
He pokes the bear to the extent that Gary goes for him, grabs him and pushes him on the floor. And everyone's like, yes, go on, kick him in the face.
That was so fun. That was great. Go on, Gary, my son.
And then Sean comes along. And of course, Sean decides to take the boys' side. But Gary's insisting that Mason was being cocky and rude. I mean, you can't beat people up for being cocky and rude, especially not teenagers in a precinct.
Gary doesn't need much of an excuse.
Sean says, do anything like that again, I'm going to go to the police.
The one thing I will say about Monday's episode, I thought that on the whole this week was pretty great, but Monday's had a couple too many coincidental occurrences and people happening to it. Corrie's guilty of it quite a lot, but Monday had more than its fair share, and Sean happening to walk past just as Gary had wrenched Mason from the swings and was giving him a pounding on the floor. It's like, come
Just
on,
get
come
over
on.
I can't get mad about.
Maybe Gary and Sean were agreeing to have a secret, little meeting at Sweet Enough.
They're trying to get their loyalty cards.
Share a straw and a strawberry milkshake.
No, they're trying to fill out their loyalty cards so they get a free milkshake. It's easier if two people do it. So he takes their side because you kind of would have to question what's happening if a grown man's beating up a teenager.
Well, there is that, isn't there? I mean, I'm going to say that possibly Mason is taller than Gary, but he's still, he's still the older one by a good, 25 years or so. He shouldn't really be doing that. He shouldn't. But again, as a viewer watching it, knowing it's fiction, I was cheering Gary on at that point. Yeah, but Sean has been so blinkered through all of this, hasn't he? Almost, I'm going to say unrealistically so, believing that there's nothing wrong with Mason. And I know that Mason is being nice and polite around him, but come on. What's
weird is I've seen so many threads and posts and things on social media and Reddit and all those places, like saying my kid was bullied and I went to the school about it, and they spoke to the parents of the other kid and they don't care, and they were like they don't have anything to say about it, blah blah blah. You never hear anything about the parents of these kids, do you? Are they just knuckle dragging illiterate idiots who don't go on the internet or something?
Well, the bullies'
parents. You never hear them going, the school's always picking on my kids, saying they're bullying everybody. You never hear them saying anything like that, do you? Where do they go? Is there some kind of special meeting place, like under a stone somewhere, where they all gather together?
I mean, you I obviously hear it's difficult for me because being in a school. No, I'm not going to say anything at all about my school. But what I would say was that this week did a good job of showing that point of view, because later on in the week when Sean discovers that Dylan has been sending those messages to Liam online, you got to see his reaction to that, and I
don't think that's a realistic reaction. Well, is it?
Well, let's wait until we get there.
But I think Sean's a really good person, and he reacted as you would hope that anybody would do. But I would imagine that most of them don't. I think most of them double down, probably.
I think lots of people would, but bullies can be anyone, and parents can be anything, and you get your stereotypical council estate kind of person, like the knuckle dragger, like you say, and the
knuckle
bullies
draggers can live in mansions. I'll tell you that.
But any person, you can have the loveliest parents whatsoever, and
they've got a horrible child,
and they can have raised children to have made not so nice choices in the old bullying department. So yeah, I really appreciated what they did. Sean was great this week in all
I thought Sean was really good. Yeah.
And what I really, really loved this week was that we saw lots of people praising Antony Cotton online.
Good.
He does not get a whole lot of praise online.
Sean's not a well-loved character.
Sean's not a well-loved character.
When they tried with the homeless storyline, they made a massive mistake with that misstep. It didn't land at all.
Yeah.
Made him look didn't do him any favours.
That didn't, but you know, if you've been listening to the podcast long enough, you'll know that I really enjoy Sean as a character. I find him kind of funny, and I know that he can be a bit of a snarky git and a bit of a not as bad as Beth. Like, Beth is just vile to almost everyone, isn't she? And sometimes Sean can let his mouth run away with him. But on the whole, I would say that I enjoy Sean as a character. Yeah, Sean has got a good heart, and that counts a lot for me. And so it was lovely for me. And I've always said that I think, you know, when he needs to, Antony Cotton can absolutely rise to the occasion. And we've seen lots of examples in this story of him having a go at Dylan for one thing or another. But it felt like this week, when the news of the bullying and the homophobic texts or Insta messages or whatever it was came out, suddenly lots of people online realised, oh, he's pretty good, isn't he? Like, yes,
he is.
Yes,
he is really good.
He can. He
can turn it on.
Yeah,
but he doesn't get a lot to do.
No,
normally.
He doesn't get. You can go months and years where all Sean does is make a bit of a catty remark behind the bar at the Rovers and flounce around and whip his head to a side, but with a towel over his shoulder, or maybe have a bit of a gossip with Izzy over the machine. So it's great that Sean has got a story. It's not his story, it's Liam's story and Mason's story and Dylan's story, but it's great to me that he has got a story that's hitting hard and that he is a not inconsequential part of it. So
yeah, and it's also interesting because he's unlike Maria and Gary. Normally you'd have like two heterosexual couples in a relationship together on either side of this. But this story can be told from Sean's perspective as a gay single dad who's struggling to raise this child that he's not really had a lot to do with.
Yeah, he mentions that, doesn't he? Like, because when it's Dylan's birthday, and he's like, let's get to it. Sorry. No, it's fine. It's good. This is why I like this character. When there's a week that it's like, I've got lots to say about this week, not just this happened and this happened and this happened. So anyway, carry on.
Right, so back at home, Maria is looking at this website that Dr. Gaddis has recommended, and Gary comes in and she updates him on everything and says, I'm going to try and take some time off work to help look after Liam. And Gary's like, I just beat Mason up. Just a bit, though. I'm really sorry. Sorry if this makes it worse.
Do you remember back in the day when Gary was always kicked out of him?
That's right. He's finally found somebody he can beat up.
Yeah. Just go for people. Just go for teenagers, Gary. Go for people half your age or more, and then you might finally win a fight or two. Build that reputation back up again.
Yeah, exactly.
As the hard army lad.
Yeah. Get some graffiti down those alleyways. Watch out, Gary's well odd. Right, back at number 11, Sean is telling George and Eileen about what's happened, and they're both saying there's no way Gary would have just attacked Mason unprovoked, because he's a villain for a reason. You know, that's the thing about Gary. He's like the Ginger Crusader.
Yeah, Ginger Ninja, isn't he?
And Sean's like, maybe there's something to this, and he asks Dylan to give him his phone.
He's had his head in the sand all this time, and George and Eileen this week finally like, look, seriously, why
would he do this? But I can't really fault Sean, because you have to trust your children. I don't know that you trust them to the extent that you have no idea what they're doing on their phones or on the internet or on social media. I don't remember how old Dylan is. 16 he just turned this week. Well, then I think there's something, that's a bit different, isn't it? 16-year-olds maybe should be a bit more trusted. You don't really want to look on there. But, when they're younger, you should be knowing what they're up to.
Sorry, he's only 15 when this episode
Oh, that's okay then. Look at his phone.
All fine. It's
that arbitrary number makes all the difference.
You kind of always say, oh, Sean, what are you doing? You blink and you got your head in the sand and so on.
That's what I mean.
You would want to, wouldn't you? If you're having these accusations made against your kid.
No.
You're going to want to believe it so badly.
No, you have to there has to be a level of trust and mutual respect between you and your child. But you still have to maintain, you're the responsible one. You're the parent. You're responsible for what they do and what they look at. There's got to be a way of... I can't fault Sean for what he's done, because I think it would be... There's another level to this where you could actually become abusive as a parent, overly invested in what your child's doing and overbearing, and stifle your child from going or learning anything because you're controlling everything they do. What's the solution?
Yeah.
So anyway, he looks at this phone to see what he's been up to, and he's found all the evidence. He just has a go at Dylan like, I've seen all this stuff that you've been writing. You're even writing homophobic things in there. I'm so ashamed of you. This is the worst thing I could have found out about you.
Yeah, this was fab. It's the homophobic remarks that really hit, isn't it? It was almost felt, I think we said when we were watching it, like, oh, so he's fine with everything else, but you made a homophobic comment, Dylan, and I'm sorry.
Well, it's more to...
He was beside himself, Sean, to hear this.
Clearly, but it's also a rejection and betrayal of the values that he's thought he had instilled in Dylan. So he's thinking, if he's doing this, what else is he capable of?
Yeah.
I don't know that he took it personally so much as to think, what have you been learning from me? What have you learned? What have I taught you? What values have I instilled in you that you can do this?
He mentioned, like, why do you think I go about on that float once a year, didn't he? Like, he kind of insinuates that I should have taught. I thought I'd taught you better than that. But yeah, that was a great performance, and you could tell that the way that Antony delivered it, it was kind of calling upon some, putting words in his mouth, but some of the abuse that he will have experienced over the years. So
he then says, "How could I have gotten this all so wrong?" After he's got told Dylan to go to his room or whatever he does. Gary, meanwhile, is apologising to Liam for losing it with Mason, and Liam's not happy about this. And he said, "Oh, if you were that worried about me, you wouldn't have picked a fight with him. I'm a dead man now."
Yeah.
So he's
Gary,
worried about the
Liam's
consequences.
just made it worse.
Yeah. Back at number 11, Sean was trying to talk to Eileen and George about how to make sense of this. He's blaming himself for being absent. I mean, Dylan was kind of kidnapped.
What?
He was taken away from Sean.
Oh yeah, Dylan was totally kidnapped
without his permission. He had
son.
He had no rights to like talk. He couldn't talk to him for years. He can't blame himself for not being there. He wasn't allowed to be.
He wasn't for a bit, but I think it was only after a few years. I think things thawed between him and Violet.
What can you do if you make your life somewhere and then the person takes your child to a different city and you can't see them?
It wasn't his fault. I mean, he could have moved to London as well, I suppose. But
he wants to do that.
He wouldn't have been in Corrie then.
No, exactly. He would have been.
He'd have been in EastEnders.
EastEnders. He said neighbours. Right. So he's going to go and speak to Maria and Gary about this. So he does. He's apologising. He says, "I got it all wrong." He tells them what he knows, and he assures them that Dylan's not going to do this again. And Maria's like, "Wow." What are you going to do about it? It's all very well to come here and apologise, but I'm still going to go through with the complaint at school. And Sean says, "Well, I'll support you to do that. And whatever the consequences are, then, I'll make sure that Dylan faces them."
Yeah, and fair play to Sean there as well, because he was...
he looked
grovelling.
So crestfallen, and
he's just so disappointed in what his son's done.
Be sick. He was sick.
All he could do was be honest with Maria and say, "Look, this has happened. I am so sorry." But fair play to Maria as well. She could have turned round and just said, "Oh, that's okay, Sean. Don't worry about it. Thank you for saying." But she stuck to her guns and was like,
a mother wouldn't.
I'm not upset, but I don't think Sean was necessarily expecting or hoping for her to forgive. He just needed to let her know that he knows the truth now, and that
a true act of forgiveness is to apologise without expecting for it to be accepted. So to me, Sean was genuine in what he was saying because he didn't need or expect Maria and Gary to forgive him and praise him for doing the right thing.
Yeah,
he was just there to do the right thing and go
and say, "Don't worry, half term's over next week. We will be working alongside Mrs. Crawshaw to make sure that Dylan gets whatever he's got coming to him. I'm in full support of this."
What on earth is Dylan going to do? I'm really interested.
Well, he's still...
Is he going to get beaten up by Mason?
Maybe, because Mason's name is still out of it, isn't it? So it could well be that...
How is Sean looked at
surely
his
Dylan's
phone
going to
and
get
not seen
expelled.
Mason's involvement?
Yeah.
Who's Liam text?
I wonder
Dylan
how clever
texting
Mason has been about that.
I don't think a kid would be. I mean, in this show, maybe they need him to be some kind of super manipulative, genius level Machiavellian guy. But in real life, you wouldn't even think about it, would you?
I would say that maybe Mason could be the sort who just gets his lackeys to do it for him. You know, to do the rat face kind of gifts. But I think Mason literally has, and we've also seen, like, was it last week when Dylan thought that they were in trouble? He texted Mason as like, we need.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
there is clearly
they're talking about
evidence on Liam's phone that he has talked about this.
Dylan's.
Dylan's phone. Sorry,
I keep saying the wrong
that he's been speaking with Mason about it. So if I was Mason at this point, I'd be saying, you delete all of our phone conversations. But then I guess that kind of puts you in it, doesn't it?
Well, they've backed it up, didn't they? Or taken. I don't know.
I can't remember. I'm not sure.
I think it'd be stupid not to have done that. But, well, that's what they said in the advice, you know, Coronation Street advice. They said,
screenshot.
Make sure you take evidence.
Yeah. So maybe that's how Mason is going to get caught out in the end, because otherwise it's a bit of a plot hole if they've been looking through Dylan's phone and they haven't found copious evidence of Mason's involvement.
Dylan's phone.
Did I say Liam again?
I don't know.
Too many characters that
I was
teenage boys.
The
You know what I mean.
Right, so Gary and Mira are like, this is a good first step, but Liam's not convinced. Back at home, Sean says he's going to tell Crawshaw everything when they go back to school to Dylan, and I'm going to keep an eye on you. And he's just really disgusted with him, isn't he? He's not being horrible, but he's just like, I'm tired. You've let me down.
And Dylan can't do anything apart from say, yeah, okay. He knows. He's known all along, really, that what he's been doing is wrong, and he's only been doing it because he's scared of Mason as well, and he's following orders, exactly. And I think deep down he would have known that this day would eventually come, so maybe prepared himself for it, possibly. And it's like, well, it's finally caught up with me. And again, fair play to him, rather than saying, oh no, I didn't do it, he made me do it. You know, he's taken his, which he would have to, because the character of Dylan is going to be redeemed, isn't he? And we've seen, I guess it's the fact that he's owning up to it is the beginning of his redemption arc, whereas I don't think we're going to have the same happen to Mason.
No, Mason's the villain.
Yeah.
Mason's not got any redeeming features, because that would be too complicated. I hope that they do something about, you know, because I've heard what has been said on TV about Dylan and Sean, because the actors were on Good Morning or whatever, and I heard what they said about it, and I hope, I don't know, I just thought,
What?
I was just saying that Dylan's a victim and he was bullied into being a bully, and I think I had the same problem with the grooming story with
with Max and Lauren.
Like, where does it end? Was there like an original racist somewhere at the very origin of time that we could just erase from history and nobody would ever be a racist? Can we take no personal responsibility for what we actually do? You know, like, I understand peer pressure. I'm not stupid. I understand that some things would never have happened if certain people weren't influencing you. And I understand the power of influence and brainwashing and social engineering and all the rest of it. But it comes a point at which someone's responsible, and how do you decide who that is? So is Mason the only bully in Weatherfield and all bullies stem from him? No. What is his reason? Why does Dylan get away with having a reason but Mason doesn't? That's my problem. Yeah,
you're right. And then comparing it to what we saw last year with Max and Griff,
it just felt a bit like...
I think we said something similar, didn't we?
Because Max was in trouble for influencing the kid that stabbed... Alia,
yeah.
And then but the kid was the kid in trouble. I can't remember. And then
Max got sent to prison because of influencing,
because of what the other kid did.
Oh, no,
I think he probably did as well.
I think he did.
But and then Griff went to prison too. But where did Griff get that from? You know, we have to. If you're going to go back, you have to go back again. Where does it end? I know I always get caught up on this. I don't know. That's why I'm not a judge or in charge of anything. Just a podcast. I'm not even in charge of the podcast. Right.
You're in charge of the quiz, Darren. You do a damn
I am
good
in
job
charge of the
it.
quiz. Right, so Liam's worried. Sean's going to tell Mrs. Crawshaw. And then Mason comes to the door. And
after Sean says, I'm going to keep my eye on you from now, and literally seconds
ding
later.
dong, answer the door in privacy, please.
I'm going
I
off
don't
to
want to know.
bed.
Don't want to know who you're talking to or why. Dylan says, what's happened? And Mason's like, you keep my name out of this. And if anyone says I was involved, they're going to find out what happens to Liam happens to them. Bye. And Dylan's like, oh no. Who would have foreseen this happening? On Wednesday. I mean, I know that's why Dylan's been doing this all along. They've made that very, very clear that Dylan's scared of Mason.
Yeah.
That's a dynamic that's very obvious. And I think I wouldn't know what to do if I was Dylan. I'd probably go along with it too. But it doesn't mean it's excusable, or that there's not something to be said for what Mason's doing and why he's doing it.
Yeah.
Right. On Wednesday, it's Dylan's birthday.
Happy birthday, Dylan.
Well, Sean doesn't think he deserves a celebration.
What did you think of Sean's reaction? It's so harsh, isn't it? But still understandable.
You only get 1/16th, but you also messed it up.
It showed how deeply Sean was personally hurt by what Dylan has done. I'm getting his names wrong all the time, and
they're very similar. That's why Dylan and Liam, and they don't look similar, but they've got similar aspects.
And this isn't about Sean, and he shouldn't be like, oh, I'm making it all about me. You upset my feelings, so I'm not giving you the. It was part of who he is and his core beliefs and values that
been attacked.
But and he feels ridiculous. Again, it's not about him, but it would be hard after what happened the evening before to just wake up and act like nothing had happened.
But equally, as a parent, are you being a responsible parent by saying you're only going to get 1/16th, so we're going to celebrate and pretend nothing's happened, but then tomorrow you're in trouble again? What do you do? What do you do?
All these things that we non-parents don't have to consider about. Although we do have a bully as a cat.
Abby does bully as a cat.
Has this happened since the last podcast?
No, I think you said it last time.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, stealing.
She's very naughty.
Stealing other cats'
She doesn't
collars.
understand consequences.
Naughty.
We have not given her any birthday presents. Yeah, but what do you do?
When her birthday is.
What do you do? What do you do? What do you do?
I don't know what I would do in this situation.
I don't think
with
Sean's
Sean.
wrong here. He gives him a present and just goes off.
Yeah.
Eileen's like, Sean, you're being so harsh on Dylan, but he did wrong, but you can't just never speak to him again.
I think Sean knows that he will speak to him again, and they will make up. And
I don't think this is overly harmful for Dylan to face some consequences here.
No, I don't.
How many times has Liam cried himself to sleep? How many times has Liam been alone and sad
and been driven to be searching for some quite dangerous things online?
Maybe let's not feel so sorry for Dylan, even if it is his birthday.
And I think that maybe Sean and Dylan will celebrate his birthday in the future, because like I said, Sean knows that he's going to things will be right. This isn't the end. This isn't the end of my relationship with my son. We can never. But he's still smarting from the bombshell that he learnt about on Monday. Yeah. So I think this was probably the right move. I'm gonna say.
Well, Eileen and George are kind of now doing a bit of a 180, aren't they? Because they were like, "Oh, he's awful," and now they're like, "Oh, Sean, why he's been so mean?" I
think that was also right though, because they know that.
I just think they wanted a beige party. They're like, "We're gonna have sausage rolls. You're gonna harsh our mallow. We wanted to enjoy eating crisps out of a big communal bowl, and you're making everyone feel awkward, Sean."
I think they know that inciting the wrath of his dad is probably enough for Liam. Dylan.
Okay, I'm going to also say another thing.
So there had to be somebody at home that was saying, "Oh, happy birthday."
You're right. You're completely right here, because Dylan is an only child, son of a single parent. And so when his sole parent is just furious at him, he does need a bit of adult support in some way. I think my parents always used to say to me, well, they didn't say this to me, but since I've grown up, they told me that they would never both be mad at me at the same time.
Yeah, I think you told me that one before.
They made a pact with each other that they would not, like, if I did something wrong, obviously I'd be in trouble, but I would never be in a situation, because I'm also an only child for most of my life. I know that's,
You can
We've
hunt
spoken
back
about
on
it.
our podcast,
Right, so, being alone in a house with two people who are in charge of you, who both are furious at you.
Yeah, if you're
is
piggy in the
just
middle between
horrible.
both parents. Yeah, so I think...
So the fact that
fair
Eileen
play.
and George are stepping up to give Dylan a bit of support is probably quite good, actually.
And also, I think Violet is probably the good cop parent at the moment. Who, well, I don't know. She's not
smiley
there.
face.
She's not there to wish him happy birthday, but she's also not shouting at him down the phone, as
Yeah.
far as I can tell.
That's nice, isn't it? So Dylan's on the steps to the gym. I don't think it's a gym anymore.
I wrote gym steps in the notes because
it's
just
a
to help people know
block.
where it was. Yeah, it is. It's just more flats.
And George finds him there, and he's been sad and lonely, and all his mates have abandoned him. So George sits behind him, and he's asking him what's brought you to this. And Dylan admits he was scared of Mason, and he feels like a coward. And George tells him about when he was bullied. Tell you what, he's done out on this story, isn't he?
Yeah, Frank.
Who else did he tell? He told Liam.
I can't remember. Maybe
He did tell some. He did. I think he did tell Liam.
Yeah.
He says, Frank bullied me. It was awful, and I told somebody, and it stopped. And some of the sidekicks of Frank came over and apologised to me, and one of them even meant it, and that helped. And you can show people that you've changed by taking responsibility and showing that you're sorry, which is not, good advice, good solid advice. Not sure if you should be doing it the day after you get found out. Don't know how what's the word? Sincere that would feel. You need a bit more time to reflect upon.
It maybe felt ever so slightly PSA when he was saying, I told somebody and then it stopped.
Yeah,
but that's what you do tell children to do, isn't it? And you hope that does work. It doesn't always work, clearly, but it still is.
It's the only
Absolutely, it's the only way.
There's only one way to solve it, and it starts with telling people.
Yeah, I thought this was a really, really lovely scene, but that just little bit was like, oh, that's a little bit, he's giving me a message. But on the whole, that was great stuff. Tony Maudsley, wonderful, and Liam McShane as well, really, really.
And
strong
also Ian Kershaw wrote
there.
This episode.
He did.
Good job. Sean comes home and Dylan apologises sincerely to him, and he's going to tell Mrs. Crawshaw everything and take full responsibility, and he's going to make sure Liam knows how sorry he is as well. And then Sean gives him a hug, which
that was lovely.
lovely.
That's because you can't stay mad forever, and I think that meant a lot to Sean, and he knew that he genuinely meant it, and he didn't want to be mad.
No, of course he
Dylan,
doesn't.
did he?
Well, nobody wants their child to do something like this.
Yeah.
So Mason finds Dylan trying to get the courage up to contact Maria and Gary.
Yeah, he's
outside the building, and Dylan is putting on a bit of a front with Mason here and saying he's just trying to keep everyone sweet. So he's still too scared to stand up to Mason, and Mason says, "You're not going to tell him about me, are you? Or Mrs. Crawface?" And Dylan's like, "No." And then Mason takes him away, so he doesn't actually get to speak to anybody in the house about apologising.
Yeah.
Which would, it's a bit of a crap way to spend your birthday. Apologising for all your...
I guess so.
All your crimes against humanity.
So I guess the next episode is going to be back in school again. I've lost all track of time. I think we're... That episode that was on Wednesday was a Friday episode because of the extra one we had the week before. I don't know. But I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes there. I think that... Mason and Dylan and that dynamic is very, very watchable. And how long do you reckon the story's got left in it? Old Gemma is doing a zipping on mouse. She clearly knows the answer to this one. I don't have any idea about this one, so I won't speculate. But I think it's a really solid week for that story this week. And just brilliant performances all the way around. Antony Cotton, brilliant. Sammy Agadi as well. Longchambon. I can't remember. She's Longchambon now, isn't she? Also, she's another one who, I suppose, similar to like what we were saying about Chris Gascoigne, is always just absolutely solid, and you don't necessarily pick her name out as like because she just is Maria, and she has been Maria for 25 years, and I don't feel that I'm watching Samia when I watch her. She was just superb with this, and the tragedy that she's going through and with her son. I think that she captured that very well. So good job. I think
one. Well, there's lots of things to praise Corrie for here, but I really appreciate how they have woven each parent's personalities into the plot here, because
Gary's the hard man.
Maria's the soft maternal figure, and then you've got Sean, who is, kind of distant in a sense, and kind of confused about what's the best thing to do.
I think Maria with her counsellor,
I'm going to sort this out. I know
done.
What to do.
Yeah.
I think it's really good because the temptation, and Corrie does this quite often, is to turn everybody into a plot device that just delivers lines according to what the story's got to be, and they're actually doing a really good job.
You're right, actually.
None
of this kind of feels like characters are being made to do things that doesn't fit for them.
Yeah.
So
but handily for Coronation Street, the archetypes of these, the personalities of these characters fit into the sort of dramatic kind of reactions that you would want to make a story. So the one that wades in and makes it worse, the one who's not completely sure about what to do but is aghast at what their child has done, and
the one who's going to march down the school,
everything out. Yeah.
I just like I said last week, so love to see Mason's family and more of
I don't know if Coronation Street is concerned about confusing the issue or they're scared of a backlash, because there certainly would be one if they tried to make out that Mason is sympathetic in any way, which is unfortunate. Lots of people don't have...
I think that they could do it somehow.
They could do it, but I think there are lots of really stupid people who watch things on television, not just Coronation Street. I'm trying to insult everybody who's listening, 'cause it's not you guys. But the sorts of people who just cannot comprehend that a television show has to show things they don't like.
Right, so great stuff from that storyline, very, very strong this week. And I also enjoyed the brief romance story as well, and I was cheering Dee-Dee on Wednesday's episode when she had that scene in number 3. So we find out that Joel, Kel surprise, does actually have a secret going on this week.
No!
Yes, it's true.
All the bread sauce comes from a packet.
I was desperately waiting in that final scene, just skipping right to the end of this, when he was at the table at number 3 with Dee-Dee, and she was like saying, "You haven't got any more secrets, have you? No more secrets? You have told me anything?" I was just waiting to cut to Lauren being held hostage in Lauren's flat. Not Lauren, Joel's flat. Not that we'd have recognised what that was. But
yeah,
the evidence was mounting.
So we're still on team. He's got more to hide than he's admitting, are we?
Yeah. I mean, we've been right that he's had something to hide. He has been too good to be true.
No one could be that boring.
No, so he's interesting. He's got an interesting ex-wife.
Is it interesting?
It was the most obvious person that Emily could have been when she was introduced last week, that she was his wife or ex-wife or partner or something along those lines.
You don't have to be a genius to have worked that one out.
No, but it could have been something else, but that's where your mind's going to go to first, isn't it?
But Corrie can't always be like, but no, she wasn't his ex-wife. She was the woman who was responsible for killing the flock of flamingos that he released for his daughter's first birthday party. Like, it can't get too crazy.
Okay, right, so
Wrangler.
He has spent the night with Dee-Dee, hasn't he? He stayed the night, but obviously they haven't slipped between the sheets together. Because...
Well, they have.
What?
I don't think he was on the sofa this time.
I thought he was.
Was he?
I thought so. I don't remember. It doesn't matter anyway. They didn't bonk. They didn't do it. Not that Adam believes this.
I cannot believe why the extent to which Dee-Dee is comfortable in sharing her sexual history with everybody that she knows.
Can you? What do you mean?
I don't think that it's anyone's business. I don't know why Adam knows that they... I don't know why Adam needs to know this.
But if you're Dee-Dee and kind of morally you're thinking, no, I wouldn't do that, and that's something that's quite core to my beliefs. If Adam's going to be going around, you know what he's like. He's probably going to go and say, "Oh, Dee-Dee and Joel last night. And guess what I saw? Dee-Dee wants to nip it in the bud."
I suppose that makes sense from that perspective. I just find it really weird. I would never tell anybody any of this. But then I don't know anyone who would run around going, "No, Gemma's had sex in her bed with a man."
You've never been, the TV trope of girls getting together and talking about
I never would ever
boys.
speak to any of my friends about anything they do after the lights go out.
No. Now this had talking of very convenient things that were happening on Monday's episode. The one that did irk me a little bit here was when
You
Adam...
can't get mad about these.
I can and I will. And I shall continue to so.
I think you will, yeah.
Until
you die.
Adam finds Joel's wallet and then he chucks it to Dee-Dee and then she drops. I think it was something like this. She drops it and then a receipt just happens to fall. Oh, what's this that's just fallen out of the wallet? What, a jeweler's receipt? I don't know.
I want to get your wallet and see what falls out of there.
Oh, don't. Let me just go and empty it first. So
this Costco card's expired.
Receipt for a jeweller's, and we're like, because we'd already. By the way, we didn't mention that we put a short up last weekend, did we? About who's Lauren's mystery caller. And Joel was our first suspect. Not that he was our top suspect; he was the first one that we talked about, and we did mention the fact that. As part of the video, we talk about Lauren's necklace.
I don't think we do.
Don't we? No, we did. We said about her getting gifts. And then we see a picture of her showing this necklace.
Yeah, we didn't explicitly say, though. And we didn't. Because there's a bit more to that than we were able to say. It's only 60 seconds.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody who enjoyed that, actually. That was quite fun to do, to put together a 60-second list. Yeah, that was me sped up to about... I think it was 110% because I couldn't quite get it into 60 seconds. But I enjoyed that. So thank you to all the comments. Anyway, yeah. So straight away with this jewellery receipt, I was like, oh, that's got to be one of the presents that's been given to Lauren.
Lauren got a necklace with L on it at some point, and now we've got a receipt in the wallet that is a jewellery receipt.
Was that the actual necklace? That's not. She's not got a couple of necklaces. Because if it was me and I was Lauren, I probably wouldn't want to carry on wearing this.
It might be a complicated relationship. It might be.
I don't know.
But listen, the other thing, I don't know if. Well, one of the other suspects that we discussed was Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nathan Curtis.
Nathan, infamously gave a necklace with B on it to Bethany.
Was it a B?
I thought you said this to me.
No, sorry. I know that Nathan gave Bethany a necklace. I don't know whether it was a B necklace.
Oh, I thought it was. And here we go.
I'm going to say it possibly wasn't, because there was somebody else at one of the sex parties that that Bethany meets, who's also one of the girls that's been groomed, and I think they've got matching necklaces. I can't remember, but this is a little clue, isn't it, as to could it be Nathan, because Nathan is a notorious necklace giver.
Yeah, and
I really wanted to find out this week.
Listen, is there a jeweler's receipt then a red herring from Joel here? So we're supposed to go, it is Joel. He's the one who gave her the necklace. I mean, he.
Yeah. If you've been paying attention to the Lauren mystery, which we have, unwillingly up until quite recently, we've not been interested for a lot of it, but now I'm desperate to find out. You'll remember that necklace came out, and so when the jeweller's receipt was revealed as a clue, clearly Corrie want you to go, aha, and join those dots. But you're right, it could be a red herring. And what he's saying later on in the week about it being a gift for Maeve.
Hang on.
Sorry, spoiler alert for Wednesday's episode. So he goes to the tram station later, does Joel. And he's talking about somebody on the phone. He's talking to someone on the phone. This isn't how it works. You got to stop talking. Listen to me. It's Emily that he's talking to. It later turns out. But then Alia comes in, and she's
investigation.
Beaky investigator this week.
She's not beaky.
Sticky and nose in.
Sticky beacon.
She's like, oh, what's that? Story? I haven't had a storyline for years.
I'm not dating anyone who can die. Oh, what's the story going to be about then? How can I be a victim?
So she goes in, and she's got her suspicions about Joel, and so he goes.
Well, he tells her. Sorry, I was just talking to a client.
Yes,
she's like suspicious.
Very sus. So Joel comes to the lawyer's office later. He hears Adam, Dee-Dee and Alia talking about this jewellery receipt.
Because they're teasing her, because they are suggesting that this might be an engagement ring.
Yes, of course. And she's like, no, it's from December, it can't be.
Joel's like, this is a ticket for sex. £300, easy, fine. I've paid more than that before. Don't mind doing that.
Yeah, and it's from December, which was when Lauren got her necklace.
Yeah, so she's like, it
Needless
can't be engagement ring because we had barely known each other in December.
Yeah,
and he comes in.
He says it was cufflinks.
What kind of cufflinks?
I do not know how much cufflinks cost.
Anything.
I don't see the point of cufflinks.
I know you don't.
Just get a shirt with a button on. You're
Anything
not impressing
can cost
anyone.
any amount of money. If you've been to Harrods, you know this for a fact. Any mundane item can cost tens of thousands of pounds.
Although, Gemma did on the day of our wedding get me. I'm just gonna backpedal a little bit unless you realise this later on. Gemma got me some cufflinks on the day of my wedding. Some Mario 1-Up mushroom cufflinks.
Yeah, I did, because you get an extra life with me, baby.
Oh, thanks.
But you don't have anything to wear them on because you refuse to let me buy you a shirt that you wear cufflinks with.
I don't.
You don't understand them, do you? I know, but I want to buy you accessories.
I do. I know. I do really, really like your cufflinks. But yeah, in the last 12 years
fine.
since we've been married, I've only had the occasion to
wear
wear
them. You don't
them
have anything to put them on.
No.
It's a whole lifestyle that we can't afford.
The cufflink lifestyle.
The cufflink lifestyle.
But Joel
pop.
is a lawyer, and he may only be a duty solicitor, but he's probably living that lifestyle of shirt without buttons.
Like I can't button my own. I need a cufflink.
Yeah. Anyway, it's all
I think
lies.
if I was a man, I'd
lies.
love cufflinks. I'd be buying all the tie pins and the little handkerchiefs and matching waistcoats.
Yeah, I mean, men don't tend to go for accessorising, do they? But I think in another life I could. I think if all men had to have cufflinks and nobody had thought of the idea of saying a button, I think I probably would quite like a collection of them.
Could you see yourself as a dandy?
A dandy?
Yeah, dandy.
A bit of a fop? No, I don't think so.
With nice buckles on your shoes.
I'd just have lots of Nintendo themed ones, or I'd demand that Coronation Street released. I'd love that. A little, flying ducks cufflinks. Or
they would be great.
Maybe it's our next Patreon gift to the
sterling silver duck-shaped cufflinks, £300 a pop.
Yeah, or even like my ties are my thing. Like,
yeah, I'm
the only teacher, and I've got more than the usual number of male teachers in our school for a primary school, but I'm the only one that wears a tie. And I've been a teacher for over 15 years or 20 years or so now, and ties have always been a thing. And I've got a lovely collection of ties. Although I never really get new ties, do I?
I don't know if you like. I buy you Nintendo ones.
Do you? I haven't got any. Oh no, yes I do. I have got. Sorry, you're right. I have got some Nintendo.
And they cost a lot of money because they come from Japan most of the time.
If anyone wants to get me a gift, I'll have a tie.
You would.
Because I had so few new ties. A lot of the ties that I wear to school now were from my sixth form. So I've had them since I was 16.
Now you're sounding like you're neglectful. I'm neglecting you.
No, I just think
you also got bequeathed an entire collection of headmaster ties.
Yes, I did. Yeah, the head teacher a couple of times ago, he did give me a box of ties afterwards, so that was very nice. But I wish that if I could request a Coronation Street bit of merch,
should we get
Corrie
an orange tie with ducks on it?
But nobody wears ties anymore. And well, you know what I'm like. If I'm going to wear ties on my first day of my teaching career, I'm going to wear a tie on the last day of my teaching career because I don't like change.
Never change.
And it's got the reputation now. I'm the tie-wearing teacher of school.
If you ever change in your life, it's like admitting you were wrong and you were living a lie.
That's it. That is exactly it.
You can't go back.
Yeah.
Never change.
So
that's my motto.
Yeah, so I like the idea. Yeah, if I had cufflinks, I would have little Nintendo-y ones like I've.
Do you think they cost £300?
No.
Would you keep the receipt because you're like, I'm not sure if I want to commit to this £300 outlay that I've done here.
Also, the other thing with my ties, of course, is that I've only got. That's fine. It's interesting side information about your hosts.
Yeah.
I've only got a certain number of school shirts, and if you get me any old tie, then do I have a shirt that matches it? And I'm going to say I don't know whether I've got a shirt that matches an orange tie.
But you don't understand how to match. I've told you before. You don't get. You're like, this is a red jumper, and this is a red shirt. They go together because they're both red. They don't though, because they're not the same sort of red. One of them's a pink base and one of them's a blue base.
Well, today I was rocking a purple jumper with a Cadbury's purple shirt and a purple and black tie. It was my Waluigi colour combination there.
Yeah, I just let you do what you want. I genuinely don't care what you wear.
What other kind of accessories do men wear? I'm not. I would wear a tie pin.
Sock suspenders.
I would wear a tie pin, but I also do wear jumpers over my shirt and tie, so nobody would be able to appreciate it.
Well, okay, well that's enough then.
That's enough of Michael's fashion chat. Back to Coronation Street.
And it is a very informative chat.
Yeah. So Alia just so happens, because this was Monday's episode, to see Joel driving down the road when she steps out later with a mystery woman inside. We know it's Emily, but she's like, who's that? Joel with a woman? That must be something suspicious. So she goes and raises her concerns to Adam and thinks, I think Joel might be having it off with somebody. I think he's got another bit on the side. Just seen him in a car with a woman. I didn't believe that cufflink story earlier. It just doesn't add up. Adam's like, I don't know. I think you're taking too big a leap here, but Ali's convinced she's not going to let this one lie. So she starts probing Joel in the bistro later, and is like, what have you been up to? And he says, I've been in court all afternoon. Says Alia, I see otherwise. So the next stage in her investigative investigation is that she gets Toya in on it to get them, and they go into the back of the bistro and start scrolling back through CCTV, because she talks to Toya, and Toya's like, I saw him with a woman in over on that table over there a couple of weeks ago. So they put their heads together in a darkened room, find the footage, and Isla's like, yes, that's the woman who was in the car. Aha! Got him banged to rights. And then this all unfolds spectacularly for Joel on Wednesday.
He must have bought her something else.
Right, so Wednesday, again, Alia tells Joel, tells Adam, I've found even more evidence against him. There's something dodgy, and he's like, just keep out of it.
I don't pay you to do this.
Yeah, so... But Alia gets wound up as the episode goes on, because Dee-Dee's just banging on about how great he is.
Dale's so much fun. He's really great.
And she's like, well, I need to show you something. I have got evidence to say otherwise. And so Dee-Dee then confronts Joel about this woman because she now knows, she's been told by Alia that
and she's like, Joel,
there's another woman. And he's like, you got me. It was Emily. She's my wife. He just comes out and says it. Oh yeah, also I've got a 1-year-old daughter too. Maybe should have mentioned that. Sorry. But, me and Emily have been separated for 18 months at least, and Dee-Dee utterly
this would be the worst news you could have from some man who just told you that he's, not divorced.
And I think...
I abandoned my pregnant wife.
Yeah, but exactly. And Dee-Dee, I think... I don't know, I may be making leaps here, but I'm imagining that she isn't the sort of person that goes out with people that are a bit... She's probably used to... If she goes out with anybody in the past, they're fairly honourable. I think she would expect them
to not be married.
Yeah, I mean, you would, wouldn't you? You never expect that your fella's cheating.
Just
but
goes
sometimes
without saying,
you think,
doesn't it?
well,
It's like, I'm not going to check you're not a war criminal and you're not married and you don't have a daughter, you didn't abandon your wife and she was pregnant, and you're up on all your jabs and you haven't sort of
she's a faithful good Christian woman, and she would expect a similar level of fidelity from her significant other, so she's clearly devastated by this.
He says they've been separated for 18 months.
Yeah.
So in his mind it's like, look, I'm not with her anymore. But she's like, well...
But then she says, why did your wife throw you out then? And he admits that he had a fling with somebody else. Can't keep it in his pants, that Joel. Dirty dog. All
these months he's been butter wouldn't melt, and now it's all coming out that he's quite the dog.
Yeah.
Is he going to win the Dirty Dog Award?
Could be. I do wonder if he had been upfront with Dee-Dee and honest at the beginning, whether... Yeah, she could have forgiven him for that, because he says, this is what I didn't tell you because I thought you just kicked me to the curb, which in a way it's understandable.
No! Whenever anybody says, I didn't tell you because I knew you'd hate it, you're like, well...
But once you get yourself, it makes sense. It's going to make sense at the time. It's one of these lies that you tell, just a little mini one, and then it's like, it's a bit too late to go back on that now, so let's just hope she never finds out. But he's probably been bricking it since then, that it was going to come out the way it has.
If she had known from the start, then what the story would have been was her being like, oh, Joel, oh, but we can't because you're married. But Joel, oh, you're just so... You know what I mean?
She's doubly glad that she didn't take him to bed now because she'd have been committing adultery with him.
Oh, dear.
So he says...
I don't think she's the sort of woman... I don't think she's the sort of Christian that he would be like, you can never... I don't recognise your divorce, so I would never go... No. You know, I don't think that's the problem. I think if he was divorced and free and clear, then okay. But it's the fact that he was still married and he walked out on his wife because he had an affair. Well, she was, 3 months pregnant or whatever it was. Yeah, she must have only just found out. He needs to give an account to himself. You know, is Emily some kind of, like, notorious... I don't know, does she wee in the shower or does she poo in the shower and stomp it down the drain? Is there something horrible about Emily that we need to know that would completely absolve Joel of all of his evil crimes or what? Or is she just a lovely misunderstood lady?
We don't know enough about Emily. I don't think we're going to learn a whole much more about Emily.
1-year-old Maeve is the child in question.
Maeve. So Dee-Dee doesn't know what to do. She wants him to leave her alone.
Well, she doesn't know what to do, but she knows she doesn't want him there.
She wants to have a think. And she goes and drowns her sorrows in the pub later where Alia finds her, and then she finds out about all this.
She's like, yeah, I knew it.
She's just gutted.
Hooray!
And then they're outside the pub later, and Ed finds out about it. They take her back home, and she doesn't really want to talk about it. But...
Ali's like, guess what, Adam?
Great final scene for this story of the week, which is when Joel comes calling later and just tries to rebuild this bridge and say, like, I swear it's over. This receipt was actually me buying not cufflinks but a charm bracelet for Maeve, but no more secrets, honestly. And she thinks, and I was really hoping that she would do what she did. But I was thinking that she probably would forgive him, but she didn't. And that moment where she's like, no, because they're sitting there opposite each other, aren't they? And they're holding each other's hands, and she draws away. Brilliant. Shanique, absolutely superb in that scene. And it was like a, yes, punch the air moment. You kick him to the curb, girl. I loved that. I thought it was fantastic. And she's like, I want you to go. And he's like, no, please, let's try again. But eventually he does, and she's left sobbing. Really, really strong scene. I thought that was super.
She's a great character because she's got a moral compass and she's being guided by it. I don't know how long this will last because Coronation Street loves to take characters with principles and...
Well, Alia is a perfect example, isn't she? And she bedded that Jason Grimshaw.
Well, she was... Yeah, well, let's not talk about it, but... we've spoken enough about that in the past. I don't know how long this will last. I think she will take him back.
Do you?
Only for the drama. But I don't see how anybody could really...
Yeah.
Why would anybody want to be with a man who abandoned his pregnant wife to cheat with someone else and has a 1-year-old child and didn't mention it and has got so much spare time, even though he really should be helping to care for this child?
You're right. A takey backy is probably not the least likely thing that is going to happen. But it's a shame because it would make that scene, which was such a great moment, a bit like inconsequential and cheap. And it was maybe that scene was just for the drama. But if she doesn't take him back, there's literally no reason for Joel to be on the show unless he is Lauren's secret kidnapper or whatever has happened to Lauren. Because with him, you know, that they're not going to cross paths, are they? Unless they have a little lawyers' parties or whatever they get up to.
Yeah, an award ceremony probably.
And I don't feel we have seen the end of Joel. So yeah, maybe she is going to forgive him. But don't do it.
Don't do it. It's a trap.
Don't, Dee-Dee, I mean. Yeah. Were you enjoying this? I've been kind of singing its praises, but partly because it took such a long time to get going, and there was very little of interest about Joel for so long. But this week and last week, I suppose, it really has stepped up, and I'm just pleased that I'm enjoying something that I previously didn't have strong feelings about. So what?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Yeah, yeah.
No,
I mean, a man who's boring having a secret, that's a secret wife and child. It's not like, what? Groundbreaking
storytelling here. I know, but it's given Shanique Sterling Brown the opportunity to really show what she's capable of, show what she can do.
It also gave
elicit a bit of sympathy with the sobs.
Coronation Street a great opportunity to use the phrase that winds me up, like I cannot tell you, which is fell pregnant. Whenever anybody says
fell pregnant, if Gemma's going to watch it, she don't like that scene.
I hate it so much. I cannot express my hatred of that. It's almost as bad as the man saying, "We're pregnant."
I was just going to say that.
I know I'm not. I know I've never been pregnant. I maybe don't have as much right to talk about this as a woman who has, but the phrase "fell pregnant" like it's some kind of exotic disease that is mysterious and like nobody can be sure how I fell pregnant, but I did. Maybe it was the tap water. Oh, yeah. Maybe it was the time of day when I went outside. Like, no.
Good stuff.
It's not
good
mystery,
stuff.
Is it?
Right.
And it's also, you don't fall. It's not like you haven't fallen. I think it's probably the slight link between a fallen woman and the phrase "fell pregnant." Like there's some kind of insinuation that it's sordid or unnatural in some way. It is not. It is the reason we are all here. Sorry. Please don't use that phrase. It's so horrible.
I told you, Kirsch.
It's just horrible. But a character using that phrase is a choice that you can make as a writer if you want to say something. But I don't know if you're always saying the thing that you mean to say when people are free to interpret it in all different ways.
Okay. Now, speaking of babies, could there be one in the way for Tracy? Let's move on to that story. We know that you said that Tommy O can't have a baby, but that's been so many times before. This story, again, took a real turn for the better this week. Not that I've not enjoyed it before, but, Steve has not been my cup of tea. Wednesday's episode again, with Sally being put into the centre of the unravelling of Tommy and Tracy's affair. Brilliant. So, over to you, Gemma, to remind us about this one.
Right, so on Monday, Steve is sharing his romantic plans with Amy, like he's going to do the dishes and the hoovering.
Wow. What a man.
Yeah, that's just a normal Saturday for you, isn't it, darling? But he needs a help. He needs a help for the next bit. I'm surprised he didn't get her to do the dishes and the hoovering, actually. Tommy is doing his decorating in the florist. I'm really liking this set, all the stuff that they're doing in there.
We're just seeing kind of little snippets of it at the
moment.
Well,
I like the way that it's all empty and echoey, and they're clearly doing something in a space that I don't know if it's actually the set.
It is. I think it must be.
But I'm assuming that it is.
Because Preston's Petals is one of the few sets that's in
situ.
Yeah.
Like the other one is the kebab shop is there.
Community centre.
Yeah, it's all inside.
And you can go to the Coronation Street experience and experience
to
it for
find
yourself.
out more. Go online to buy tickets now. Right, so Tommy's decorating the florist, and Tracy's not happy with him spending time with Steve like he did the night before, and insists that she's trying to make a go of it with Steve. And Amy comes in and says that Steve wants to take her out for a nice meal. So he arrives at the bistro and Tracy's already there. And he's like, "I'm so sorry that I took you for granted. I still love you and I fancy the pants off you." So they go back to number one. And Tracy's like really appreciating all of the love that he's been showing her. And he's like, "Ooh, why don't we go inside?"
Yeah, he's up for a bit of nookie, isn't he?
She's like, "I'm full."
Thinks he's on a promise there.
I'm full. There's nothing romantic about being full and going to the bedroom for something. Tracy sees Tommy coming out of the pub and she's like, "Oh, I just need to go and pop up to the shop because I am a bit full. I really don't want to roll around or do anything energetic if you don't mind at the moment." And she catches up with Tommy and tells him that things aren't going great with Steve.
So when Tracy was going over and above the call of duty telling Steve how lovely he was, what was that all about? Because she clearly can't mean it completely.
She's being very duplicitous, isn't she?
Is she just trying to assuage her guilty conscience?
Yeah, she's trying to be a good wife by praising him for something that she's not particularly bothered
he'll
about.
Never suspect that I'm playing away.
No, that's different to what I'm saying. Like you're saying, she's kind of covering her tracks by being overly attentive. But I'm saying like maybe she does feel guilty, and she's like, "Steve, you're so great."
Maybe, but it doesn't last, does it? Because as soon
She
as she gets a whiff of Tommy,
later, she's like, "Hey, Tommy, things aren't going very well, but I'm enjoying used a bit on the side." And Tommy's like, "I feel used," but he can tell he enjoys it. And he tells her she should probably concentrate on her marriage if there's a chance that they could mend it.
Yeah, out of the two of them, he's been the one that's found it easier to resist, hasn't he?
He's probably got
was
loads
always
of
very
bored housewives waiting for an afternoon. So Amy finds out that Steve wants to watch Ghostbusters with Tracy as part of their romantic night, and
she's not impressed because once again Steve has shown that.
Which Ghostbusters?
He said the new one. He said which confused
Steve,
me
though,
because
to Steve, what does that mean?
Is it the lady one or the kids one?
Lady one, kids one, or the second of the two originals?
There's a new Ghostbusters coming out soon, isn't there?
Yeah.
Everything gets a bit cold and icy in it.
It's called Ghostbusters on Ice.
We've probably made our stance on the Ghostbusters films clear at some point in the podcast, but we are on the side of the ladies one wasn't that bad.
The ladies one was funny, actually, and if you don't think it was...
I know that it's not the good thing to say. You're supposed to say, oh, that was rubbish, but actually it was quite funny.
But, gallingly, the funniest part of it was the male character who was the guy who had Mike Cat as his cat. His dog, I mean. That made me laugh so much in the cinema. I was laughing for ages about that. It's so stupid.
I know I've seen the newest Ghostbusters because it's got a lot of the old cast in, hasn't it? It's got Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, as has the new one. But
I won't spoil anything.
I've got more positive memories about the female one, about the lady one.
But again, I don't want to be mean. It's the same thing that happened with Doctor Who, though, when everyone's like, you can't say you don't like the lady Doctor because that makes you a misogynist. And you're like, but I didn't like it, though. I'm not going to say that was always the case.
You are perfectly entitled not to like the lady.
But there are lots of people that didn't like it for that reason. And they ruin it for everyone else.
So, Wednesday's episode. Oh, this is great. This was so good.
Steve and Tim serenade Tommy in the cafe, which I assume was your favourite part.
No.
He makes a sharp exit. He finishes off at the florist's, and Tracy's trying to seduce him once more by come back to number one. And
Steve's off on an airport run. Where's he going to? Is he going to the Midlands? Is it
Midlands Airport?
Something
which
like
could be
that.
Anywhere, no, in this country.
He was going on a long drive.
It works. So they're back in number one. Meanwhile, Gav is doing his cleaning round. He's a
window cleaner. Now, we didn't mention this on the podcast last week, but like we said earlier today, he is the new Craig Gazy, and he's the new cheeky chappy window cleaner.
Graham Proctor.
Yeah.
He's going to clean the windows at number one.
I forgot that the actor and the character are not the same person.
No.
This was funny.
So he's got his ladder against number one's windows. He climbs. Tim's like, go on then.
He's just like, I'm scared of ladders. I've never climbed a ladder before.
You don't need to climb ladders to be a window cleaner, because our window cleaners just have a long stick.
Well, I think doesn't Tim say
Yeah,
this to him? Like, I had a pole when
Yeah.
I love how he's kind of taken him under his wing a little bit.
So Tim's like, I'll show you how to do it. And he climbs up the ladder and he looks through the window and he sees Tracy in bed and assumes it's Steve.
That she's with, of course.
Yeah, so
we don't get to see it.
She rushes down in her dressing gown and calls him a peeping Tim.
That was funny.
That would have been an alternative name for his window business.
Yeah.
Peeping Tim. She says, don't tell Steve about this. So she immediately reveals that it wasn't Steve in there with him.
No, I don't think she does. I think that she's more like, don't mention it to Steve, he's embarrassed. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't think she did, but the way you've written it makes it sound like she did.
I think at the time I thought that that's what she was saying.
She's like, don't say anything to Steve because he'll be embarrassed. So Tim and Gav slope off to the pub and Gav's beginning to second guess this career choice. Sally tells Tim she's not happy with the paintwork
that Tommy's been doing
in the bedroom, and she wants Tommy to come and redo it. And Tim says, I think I saw Tracy and Steve doing it. And Sally's like,
This was the beginning of
some pervert.
Absolute peak Sally. She's
she is.
We all
She
know
smirks.
this. We all know the Sally shocked gif where she's on the phone and shit. It's like, and this, we got this, and he's like, don't say anything, don't say out. And the smirk that her face turns into is like, I have got some prime gossip.
Well,
here.
I also thought that she was turned on.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think she was like,
I bet she was actually.
I'd actually quite
I bet
like
Sally
that
would
as well.
like to get caught.
Why doesn't Tim? Yeah, she's such a pervert.
Right. One of the things I loved about this was Corrie isn't about neighbours gossiping anymore, is it? Where
No,
that
it
used
should
to be such a core part of old Corrie, people curtain twitching and, have you heard the latest about so-and-so? And Sally had this prime bit on Wednesday's episode.
If you missed that, why not download Nextdoor, the app which replaces Coronation Street gossip? So she's like,
you with annoying emails, I'm finding.
I love the bizarre, like, everyone's unhinged, aren't they? It's not just your local area. If you have Nextdoor and you're worried that you're surrounded by weirdos, I've got friends who've got Nextdoor and they're also surrounded by weirdos. So she's like, okay, I won't say anything. But then when she sees Steve later, she's like, oh, Steve.
I love it. She just kind of sidles up to him like, I know something about... Yeah, he's got a can of something, a pink can of energy drink.
You've had a busy morning. And he's like, yeah, I have. I have had a busy morning. I've been hard at it. All morning, 5 hours it took me.
Honestly, it's the sort of thing that could have been like, okay, we get it now, but this
hilarious.
time, and it's not the only one of these innuendo-laden dialogues in the episode. It was just like, I'm loving this, don't ever stop. I haven't actually... I've not written down what it was. This was a scene...
This was, again, Ian Kershaw wrote this.
Yeah. This was one of those scenes where I'm watching it and I'm not taking any notes. This is why I haven't got any. You get scenes every now and then that's like, I just want to watch this. I can't write notes of the podcast because I'm loving it so much. And this was it. But it was all totally double entendre.
Yeah. And Sally's
so
just like,
funny.
he gets more and more elaborate with and straying further away from plausibility about this.
It was completely implausible.
A romp with his wife. And she's then beginning to wonder... She realises that he's talking about going to an airport.
Eventually.
And then she's like, well, who the hell was Tracy in bed with? And then, of course, Tommy pulls up in his van.
Quite coincidentally.
So she gets Tommy in, and he clearly thinks that Sally knows about him and Tracy.
Because we get another scene of this now, don't we? Another scene of Sally thinking one thing, but...
the other person thinking something completely different.
Yeah.
And he talks about rushing into things without thinking, and there's a long misunderstanding where she thinks he's talking about the paint, I think, and she's like...
No, he thinks that she's inviting him...
Yeah.
He thinks that she knows about the affair.
Yeah, and she wants him to come upstairs.
Yes, because he thinks that she wants him to pay her off by bonking her as well.
Yeah, so she's like, come upstairs because, and he's like, oh... She wants him to sort the painting out. He thinks she wants him to give him one.
Yeah.
And she'll say, she says, I'll put it on...
She literally just wants him... This is so confusing, but it shouldn't be. She literally just wants him to do the paintwork better, but he thinks that she knows about the affair.
Yeah, I think we've said
and
that.
And she's like, yeah, I'm even going to put it on your website about how great you are.
Yeah, help review you.
Yeah.
So, Sally comes in and finds...
No, Tracy comes
in and finds...
Sally there.
Not Sally. I think it's not Sally. I think it's...
Is it Tim?
Not Tim. I think it's Tommy. Because she says we're in the clear. Tim thought I was with
sorry,
Steve.
you're right. Sorry, I'm doing a really poor job of this. It's not
Tracy
your fault.
Comes in, finds Tommy painting.
Yes.
Tommy.
Not Timmy.
You don't need to speak. You don't need to say anything.
I think that's for the best.
She says... We're in the clear because Tim thought I was with Steve. And then Sally comes in and she's confused. Why is Tracy there when... what's going on? And she says, I was just talking to him about something in my place. And then Sally bumps into Mary in the cafe later. And she gets told that Tracy whisked Tommy off somewhere for lunch. And that he finished work before. And this is when she puts it together that actually the person that Tim saw Tracy with was Tommy.
Yes.
Tim...
We were explaining this so badly.
It's like writing's hard, isn't it? It's like writing's hard.
It was just... The whole lot was perfectly pitched. This
Great.
could have just taken place over one scene, but the fact that we had... 4 or 5 scenes of Sally getting these little jigsaw pieces, the misunderstandings, and then the
people
penny
talking
dropping
over
here.
each other. This is very Shakespearean. This is what we've loved in this country. And the world.
And Sally was the perfect character for this to happen to, because she is such a snob. She loves to look down her nose at people. She loves a gossip, even though she would never admit it.
No, she's
and
sharing
it's also a bonky rompy story, which is what Sally's all about at the moment.
So Tim gets chatting with Steve in the pub later, and is just about to find out that he saw Tracy was somebody that wasn't Steve, Sally comes and extracts them both and sends Gav away, and he knows he's got to keep quiet, but she sits Tim down and says, it wasn't Steve in bed with Tracy, it was Tommy Flaming Orpington.
What a cliffhanger. I love that. And the fact that Flaming, it was, and
Yeah.
it's even got the same
Classic.
number of syllables
Yeah.
as Wendy Flaming Crozier. It was, thank you very much.
That was fun. That was good
Coronation
fun.
Street for
I
giving
think
us
we all
that little
enjoyed that.
escapade.
Lots
I
of
think
people
we
said that
did.
Wednesdays was peak Corrie, and that's not
Yeah.
that's not an unfair summation.
But what now?
What now?
What is going to happen? Do you think that Tim would...
I feel
is
sorry
he
for
going to
Tim.
feel honour bound with the lad's code to go and reveal to Steve what's been going on?
Well, I'm just going to say I feel sorry for Tim because he was on a promise with Sally up until the point she found out about infidelity. Now she's just worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure that she was raring to go before she made that discovery.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
She's
You're
missing
right.
out now. I think Steve owes Tim a shag.
Yeah, do you... I just can't believe that Sally can keep this to herself.
She won't. Tim knows, and
She's
Tim
probably
going
going to tell...
Tim knows. It's not her place. I don't think she's going to... I think now she's told Tim, she's unburdened herself. I think it's going to be Tim that tells...
She just wanted to tell someone. It's
Yeah.
like passing it on.
Yeah.
Like the Ring video.
Come here, let me tell you.
But I want... It could also go like... Sally tells Tim, you mustn't tell, and then Tim finds it difficult, but then he doesn't tell, but then Sally can't help but tell herself.
So many ways this could go.
So this time next week, will it all be out in the open? Is it going to happen quickly, do you think?
I hope it doesn't get prolonged.
No, I don't need this to be a long
But
extended
again,
affair story. If they can tie it up in the next few weeks, I will be left satisfied. Just as Tracy was.
You made an insinuation when we began speaking about this that you thought that Tracy might be 18 months away from being abandoned with a bracelet.
It's possible, only because they mentioned Tommy's infertility. But there's
fact
not
they
been
brought it
anything
up was
so
like,
far.
This is what's so funny. Because in real life, if someone said to you, oh, yeah, I can't have children, you'd be like, I'm so sorry. You wouldn't be like, that means you're going to have a child soon.
I mean, it's too early still for Tracy to be rushing off to the bathroom to throw up in the mornings, isn't it?
I couldn't, as we've established, tell you the answer to that.
Yeah.
Is she going to fall pregnant? We don't know.
Great. So it was just a fun little adventure. There's no deep discussion
No, we don't need to.
had
There's no
here.
issues here.
No.
We don't care about the paint colour.
No.
No.
Great stuff. Great. Well done. Right, the far
So I don't really mind.
right
I don't really
storyline.
mind if you say fall pregnant. I just reserve the right to go.
Gemma's got just a
It's
few
fine.
things
I'm not
that
going to
trigger
please.
her.
I'm not going to please you.
Right. The less interesting story, but still obviously had a little bit of mystery in the far right one.
I saw somebody, and I can't remember where I saw this or what specifically the wording of this was, but somebody wrote something like, "Bethany's quite strange, isn't she?" I'm like, yeah, she is a bit, isn't she? She is a bit weird.
Is she?
Yeah, she's a bit weird.
In what way?
She's just a bit weird.
Oh, okay.
I just think she's, yeah.
Right,
An
so
odd duck.
Bobby last week found out about Lauren's bruises that we still don't know the source of exactly.
Well, she said she fell down the stairs.
She says she did, yeah. But he comes into the cafe and she's quite cold towards him. And he's like, I also know about you doing Ovids as well. And she is not impressed to find that all her dirty laundry has been aired. And she's like, I do what I want. I'm 18. I'm not meeting with these guys or sleeping with them. Nothing to do with you. Bog off, Bobby. Bethany comes into the cafe later and Lauren's like, right, I could do with a bit of extra money. Could you write an article about being brainwashed by the far right group or something, please? That'd be quite interesting.
That would make sense, wouldn't it, Bethany?
It's not as easy gossip as the catfishing, like shocking.
It's
my gosh.
It's not as
Ooh, but I'm loving it.
lazily salacious to read, is it?
No, it's like, that's a bit sad, really.
Yeah,
That's a bit, it makes me feel a bit
tragic.
Yeah. But an article's an article, and Bethany's at first she's like, it's not going to make a whole lot of money, but maybe. Are you in touch with anyone from the far right group? No, says Lauren, but I could give you some names.
Can I get some quotes from them, like Hitler wasn't wrong?
I don't know what Bethany was expecting them to say. You know,
do you
they
mean?
see because she later on was it Wednesday's episode or later on today?
Oh,
she
she
says,
contacts them.
"Oh, I've contacted them, and they didn't want to know."
And they were like, "Hi."
What was she expecting for them to say? Like, I'm not really racist, but I'm really scared of the person.
Yeah.
The person that's in charge.
Have you been following
so.
the Mason story? Because I'm Dylan. I'm Dylan.
I'm the Dylan of the far right group.
yeah.
I don't really. But
She's like, "Hello, can I just get a few like kind of breezy, easy quotes for Chit Chat magazine I can maybe put on the cover about your racist past and how you groomed a girl into helping you bomb someone."
What I want to know is, and maybe this is something obvious, but can't they contact Spider?
No.
Is
Next
he not?
question.
Is Spider not allowed to reveal information about this because it's his job? Is
Why
he
don't
not
you
allowed to
ask
spread
Toya?
the goss? Well, yeah, it could be. Toya would love to get involved in this story.
Toya's got a more interesting story than Lauren.
I was
stuck in a van by a mad woman who was...
Oh, my boyfriend was secretly an undercover cop. There's so much
Bethany
drama
is
that
just
Bethany
so...
could write about.
She's just like... It's like... I'm trying to think of a good analogy. It's like she's in a like Yo Sushi, watching the sushi go by her on the conveyor belt. She doesn't quite understand. She's eating pickled ginger out of the jar. Like, oh, is this all there is? Like, no, grab yourself a nice big sashimi plate and tuck in. What are you doing?
Anyway,
Licking wasabi off a spoon.
maybe she's just going to kick herself later when she realises she could have asked Spider, but never mind. So Bethany is going to do a bit of investigating, but she's not really had much luck. But the editor has agreed to let her write the article. Lauren's going to get 20% of the £150, and she's not impressed with this. She does do the maths pretty quickly, but I suppose she does work in a cafe, so mental arithmetic is important. And she's like, I'm not spilling the beans for that little. And Bethany heads off, saying, "Oh, fine, that's fair enough then." Lauren spots that, because this is Monday's episode, quite conveniently, she's left her bag there. And when Bethany returns, quite conveniently, Lauren happens to be just in the middle of rooting through it. And she's like, "I was just looking for ID to find out whose bag it was," but Bethany doesn't believe her. And Roy has got no choice but, once again, because it seems to happen quite a lot, that she parts ways with this particular establishment.
I didn't
Roy
like
has
this.
to sack her.
I didn't think that Roy would immediately sack her on the spot.
Didn't you?
No.
Why? I would have
Because
thought
I think
that
he
would.
likes his waifs and strays.
No, I think that he's a stickler for the rules too much, and I think he's got a
her-
list of sackable offences.
Yeah, but you have to believe that Bethany knows what's going on in Lauren's mind and that Lauren lied to you.
What? So is Roy
Bethany
saying, well,
doesn't
maybe
believe
he
her.
was just trying to was just trying to find out that it was.
Bethany doesn't believe this, but she doesn't know. But Roy's believing Bethany's belief over what Lauren is saying.
I can't remember how it played out now. I don't know whether
just
once
says, "No, you're
Bethany
gone."
but when Bethany went, did
No, it
Lauren
was done in
say,
front of-
"Oh, it was"?
No, he sacked her in front of Bethany, I
He
think.
didn't. I'm sure that Bethany had gone by that point.
Well, I don't know, but he sacked
It doesn't.
her. I thought this was out of character. I think he would have said something like, "I'm going to choose to believe that you were looking through." But obviously this is just
I don't
Coronation
know.
Street.
I could buy Roy doing this.
Coronation Street is trying to force Lauren into whatever behaviour it is that she's doing that is causing her to get bruises in order to get money.
Yeah. It doesn't. Roy's fine. He's got a million other people working at that cafe. He's got Bernie, he's got Shona, he's got... Does Evelyn sometimes work there? I can't remember. He can make do without Lauren, it's fine.
Or he can probably do it all himself, to be quite frank with you.
It's fair. So Wednesday then, Bethany tells Daniel she has contacted some far-right people, but they're not too happy about wanting her to write about them.
Well, they're like, "What percentage do I get?"
Yeah, that's true.
You get 20% of
if
Lauren's
Lauren gets
20%.
20%, yeah, so what's 20% of £30? I probably should be able to do that,
£6,
but
isn't it?
not
What?
Oh yeah, it is. God, you should teach maths lessons, not me.
If it's money, I almost always know the answer.
Of course it is.
If you capture
30
it as money,
divided by 5,
I'm
yeah.
pretty good at it.
So £6? Nah, you're all right, mate. I don't think I will cough up for that much. Bobby later finds out from Roy about Lauren being sacked. I think I've got Warren
Who's
written
Warren?
in my note here. I don't know, Warren Baldwin perhaps? Lauren.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's also, and I put it in this story because it's Bethany and it's Daisy and they kind of got this this cattiness going in between.
Do you remember when at the beginning of the year we were completely convinced that the whole massive storyline for 2024 would be Jenny and Daisy's the fact that they stole money from Carla to buy the pub, how would they deal with the financial fallout of taking on a pub that was so bad at performing that even a conglomerate wouldn't take it on. And we were thinking, like, how are they gonna deal with it? The hot pots, are they really going to be able to sell enough hot with the price of lamb?
But what we get is once every month or so, you get a little bit of Jenny belittling Daisy to show that she's still the boss, and Daisy getting narked about it.
But we did get to see there's a new guest beer.
Oh yeah, what was it? Nun's Temptation,
Revenge,
I think.
Yeah.
Nun's Revenge.
I don't know.
And Tim is none too happy with that choice because he'd prefer his Newton and Ridley, which apparently they're not allowed to sell anymore because the brewery won't let them. And Jenny has already been to the brewery to say, look, can we have this back? And she says to Daisy, look, there's no point. They're hardly going to listen to you if they won't listen to me. And she gives this brilliant kind of pompous smirk at that. I thought that was a lovely little delivery there from Sal. So Max, meanwhile, is with Bobby and saying, look, I've not heard from her for a few days. Have you? No, says Bobby. I did tell her about the Ovids thing, and so we're probably both in her bad books, to be honest. But it's okay. I'm a charming, cheeky chappy. I can go around there and smooth things over with her.
What, by favouriting the best videos of hers? That's the sort of thing Bobby would do.
Oh, I even Reddit this week has got a poll on there of what do you think about Bobby so far, and I'm starting to warm to him. Is in the lead.
Yeah.
Did it win? Is it over now?
Did,
but
yeah,
I think second place was I hate him still. But I am 100% warming to Bobby.
We said from the beginning this would happen.
Yeah.
And I think that there's also an element of I'm sick and tired of the backlash here. I don't. It feels like picking on somebody now. It's getting to the stage where I'm uncomfortable with the hatred, which I'm going to call the Jade Goody syndrome, which is exactly what happened with her. Everyone hated her, and then the backlash got too much, and then the whole thing's flipped on its head, and now, then everyone was, I love Jade Goody. Same thing happened with Princess Diana, and then she died as well. So maybe
Bobby.
Maybe Lauren needs to die. Maybe Bobby needs to die.
Anyway, so Roy is currently in Lauren's flat, bringing her wages plus a little bit extra because he's a good one, isn't he? And she's like, I don't deserve it. Oh, I'm so messed up. Oh, I'm miserable. I've let everyone down.
Oh God, she's such a moocher, isn't she?
So I'm going to get away. Oh, I don't deserve to live in Weatherfield. Oh, I've made such a mistake.
Opulent, luxurious
pity me. But she doesn't want pity, but
she's glum. If I was going to describe Lauren in one word, it would be glum.
Yeah, you're right.
She's glum.
Yeah. So Roy's like, well, I'm sorry how things worked out.
All the best.
Shake hands, off you go. And she's there ready to cry, but still not quite enough for me to care. Sorry, Lauren.
It's just how readily she feels sorry for herself. It's the Alia victim syndrome, where it's such a comfortable role that she seems to relish in that I can't join in with her.
Again,
she's doing enough pity partying.
This isn't a slight against Kate Fitton's acting.
No.
She's doing exactly what she needs to. But I'm still waiting to sympathise with her. And I know that she's supposed to be an unlikable character in a way, but I think we're supposed to like her a bit more now than we do.
Yes.
And is the latest move going on? I don't know. So there's also a bit with Bethany and Daisy in the pub later, and Bethany, because it almost comes out, doesn't it? Bethany has to mentions to Daisy, oh, it's always hard when your boss puts their foot down or something like that, and Daisy has to bite her tongue to not say, actually, we're equal partners in this, but she can't reveal that, the source of the Rovers funds was actually Stephen's
so what do you
easily
think,
broken into bank account.
What's Bethany's angle here? Is she just trying to ingratiate herself with Daisy to try to maybe create some kind of conversation starter where she can warn her about what's going to happen?
The Chit Chat magazine, yeah, because that's still not been published yet, has it? So that's still to come, but it didn't work anyway, and when we're left with the dangling thread of, is the money going to be found out about? So anyway, mystery time. Don't know where Alia was during this, But Bobby comes in to the flat, finds the door unlocked, music's on, empty, half-made bacon sarnie by the sink. She's gone, abandoned.
How curly is the bread? That's just
Not
something
so
I picked
curly.
up from True Detective.
So he has a bit of a look around, and he goes back off again because she's clearly not there. And he meets up with Max in the factory later and says what happened. And Max says, "Oh, she's probably just nipped out, no big deal." But Bobby is less convinced. So I think.
Well, I think one of the
we have a mystery here.
Is smarter than the other.
Do you reckon? Yeah, I think. Well, Bobby's got glasses, so he automatically wins.
Clever.
That's how we tell between you and me.
Yeah, I always wear glasses, and you only wear glasses sometimes.
I wear, yeah. So anyway, that was all, and there was also a bit about Bethany going and writing the article, and she's doing it without people's permission. I'm not too fussed about that. But Lauren then. So, I mean, it hasn't been, made 100% clear in the show so far that Lauren has been spirited away by her mystery man, but clearly that's happened, hasn't it? She's not just bobbed off to the shop. There's enough clues there.
No self-respecting northerner would leave a bacon sandwich uneaten in the kitchen. No,
and that's the biggest clue of them all.
But what sauce was in there?
Oh, why? When are we going to find out about that mystery man? My worry is that by the time we find out, the level of interest I currently have about it is going to have dissipated.
Or they
again.
would have leaked
Now
it
is the
by
prime
accident.
time. Yes, if this leaks, I'm going to be so fuming. Or if Coronation Street just announced, next week on Coronation Street, we'll find that the mystery man is actually Ken Barlow. Oh, no, don't do it. I hope that the first time I find out about who this mystery man is, we'll be watching the programme. And I'd really actually quite like it to be nobody that's on my Who's Lauren's Mystery Man video, but still be a character that we know.
Not like,
Doesn't need to be
turns out it was
random
Frank.
extra 3, yeah. Not Frank, he's a bully. He's not
Who's Frank?
The George
different
bully.
Frank.
Different Frank.
Think different Frank.
Yeah, Frank's the name for
Frank
Ronan's
Spencer.
on Coronation Street. Frank, what's his name? Frank Carla Racist. No.
Frank Factory.
Yeah, Factory. What's his
Factory Frank, they called him.
Gosh, I can't remember.
Frank.
I don't know.
Frank.
Oh gosh, Frank Foster. Thank you, everybody who's been calling out.
Well, you
There
idiots.
you go. So, Lauren, the mystery of the missing Lauren, and what I saw online, somebody saying, because I was wondering about this
focusing on this twee little angel.
figurine,
Yeah.
and I was like, what's going on there? What's the clue there? And clear, somebody's I've seen online has picked up what is clearly going to happen with this, that Roy was fingering her fallen angel, wasn't he?
Okay.
And so Lauren's her flat's going to be like looked over by the police.
Yeah.
Forensics are going to get dusting for prints. Oh, Roy's prints are on here. Clearly that's going to happen.
And we'll all go, it wasn't him. He's
It's
such
not
a
Roy,
nice
is
man.
it?
He only beat Gary with a baseball bat once. And set fire to when he set fire to that boat, it was just a joke.
Just an accident. So anyway, that's the story. But at least it means we get a bit of a break from Lauren. But I don't know how long she's going to be missing from.
Could you say that about her?
And the story.
I
will focus...
like Lauren more than I like Bobby.
Ooh, hard hitting views.
And I'm just I'm just hoping that I don't get a bee in my bonnet about Bobby like I do about Tim. Because I don't want everyone to hate me for not liking Bobby.
No, I'm sure they won't. It's understandable, but he is getting better for sure. And yeah, just because he's not cracking jokes all the time, it's fairly simple.
Has he tried doing the the way you do the armpit fart jokes? Because that'd be good. That would be a way of just getting a line in. You know, like how Maureen Lipman does. She doesn't have a line, but she acts in the scene. He could just do that.
Yeah, maybe
Just an
Gemma,
idea.
maybe not. Anyway, there's. I haven't got any theories because the theories are exactly the same theories as we had before with Who's Lauren's Mystery Man, but I'm looking at Joel more than...
Is it
I'd
Joel?
rather it be Nathan.
Why did he spend £300 on a necklace with an L on it?
Would you rather it be Joel or Nathan?
Well, we've ruined it if it's Nathan, haven't we? Because everyone who would have been like, what?
Well, it wasn't our theory. I saw
but
somebody else saying it.
But we've popularised.
Would you rather it was Joel
now.
or would you rather it was Nathan? Because I think...
I'd rather it was Joel to get him out. I don't just... Like, I hate this when I take against a character because I feel bad for the actor and stuff. But like Joel is just like, even him being, I'd rather he's a proper villain than just a man who shagged around.
But I'm sure if it is Joel, this is how you do it. You make him seem normal and nice, and then as soon as you reveal that he's actually a secret wrong and in disguise, he suddenly becomes a lot more sinister.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you
that would be more interesting to me. We already know that Nathan's a wrong un.
Well, I found Joel more interesting to watch as well. I can't remember what the actor who plays him is called, but I found him a lot more engaging and watchable in the last week or two because he's got this secret. He's not bland. He is not bland anymore. And so I wouldn't mind if it was Joel, but I do think I prefer the idea of a comeback. I think there's a risk that if it's the Nathan story coming back, then it's just going to try and dredge up the past and try and make another...
Callum Lil.
There we go. And make another thing out of what was one of 2017's best stories. And it could end up tainting it, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, my heart says I'd rather it was Nathan. My head says it's probably more likely to be Joel.
What's the future for Joel?
Well, I mean, he's clearly a wronger, and I don't believe that Joel is going to stay in the show.
I know, but is that all there is to know about Joel? He just got a secret wife and kid.
No, because Dee-Dee said there are no more secrets, are there? And he said no, there are no more secrets, which clearly is code for yes, there are secrets. So whether he's involved in being Lauren's secret mystery man and necklace giver, or whether he's something else,
maybe he's Nathan's evil lawyer.
Stay, is he? He's not going to stay.
Maybe he's Nathan's evil lawyer.
Maybe. Right, finally, let's just whiz through this Leanne story, which wasn't much, to be honest. But over to you.
On Monday, Leanne's like, hey, Mum.
We think that she was phoning Stella. I'm not sure. Because she wants to get married in France.
She's like, Mum, are you in EastEnders now? Right. Okay. Anyway, sorry, can I just get... Right, we want to get married in the south of France. You live there, don't you?
Yeah.
What part of it? Is it a good bit or a crap bit? Right. Anyway, it's irrelevant because it's not going to happen. Anyway, thanks. Speak to you later.
It could be that she was just speaking to Gail on the phone. I don't know.
Well, she wants to get married in the south of France.
Nick, not so keen.
Her and Toya are like, oh, I've got a Pinterest board about it. Nick comes in to see David, and he's like, I'm not... Wallace and Gromit have been talking about it.
Oh, this is well done because they're speaking at the door, aren't they, of number 8? And David says, "Oh, Wallace and Gromit have just been talking about your plans." And then we walk in and we see that. I mean, it couldn't have been many other people, but it was a nice kind of setup and then reveal of who he's talking about.
And it is Gail and Audrey.
Yeah, Gail and Audrey says it.
You didn't say Audrey.
I'm sure I did.
They've been talking about it. They go inside and David's making a comment about it maybe being called off, and Gail is very intrigued, but Nick says, I've not got cold feet, I'm just taking my time. I do love her and we're soulmates. And Gail says, if you've got any doubts, not going through this again. And Nick's like, no, I don't.
Yeah, Gail's not always been Leanne's biggest fan, has she?
No, she's hated her from the beginning, which I think is great. I love people that hold grudges. And Nick returns home, tells Leanne that they might want to scale back the idea of getting married in France. It's a lot of money after all, and you can get the same cheese in Tesco.
And
as I said before.
Yeah. So, good week. I thought.
Also, it's too hot in the south of France. Ugh.
And most people don't mind that, Gemma.
Why would you go somewhere that's hot?
You don't make
I'm
sense.
not even joking about that question. Right. It doesn't make any sense.
Let us rate the week. Wednesday was absolutely fabulous. Monday was good. You can tell it's a good week because I'm really torn about who to give my character of the week to. You know, some weeks it's like, I don't know, nobody really. Or who got to pick? Mad Lad, as it was last week.
Oh yeah, Mad Lad.
But this week, character of the week, I could easily go Sally, I could go Sean, I could go Dee-Dee, I could go... Actually, maybe they're the main ones that I think
Sean is mine.
Oh, explain yourself.
I just thought I thought it was a nice opportunity for everyone to be reminded that Antony Cotton can actually do dramatic performances. I liked the situation that he found himself in. It was interesting to me to watch him struggle with this new knowledge about his son.
But I also like that he gave that hug at the end.
Yeah, he's trying his best and he doesn't know what the best thing is, because being your kid's friend is not the best idea all the time. You know, even if you feel like maybe the punishment's too harsh, sometimes you have to do it.
Yeah.
And I think he struggled with that. And I think Antony Cotton did a really good job of being able to portray those kind of conflicts without having that many sounding boards. Like I've said before on soaps, one of the biggest hurdles is you don't get an internal monologue. And so characters have to either have to have a friend or a confidant or something to tell their emotions to, or their thoughts, if they can't portray it, by acting. And I think he did a really good job.
He did. He was great. I mean, Tony Maudsley also fantastic in this story. George wasn't a big enough character for me to make him character of the week. I'd really like to give it to Sally because I just enjoyed those scenes so much. She's very high up on our character of the week list, isn't she? But she hasn't been character of the week for a long time. I think it's Sean as well. I think he just pips her for appearing more prominently in 2 episodes.
He hasn't had much of an opportunity, so
for sticking to his guns when he didn't sort of throw still in a all singing all dancing 16th birthday party, but the performance when he found out about the text, the forgiveness at the end. Just about as much as I adored Sally on Wednesday, I'm going to give it to Sean. I am going to score this episode of Coronation Street 4 bottles of the Bistro's 3rd finest red wines. Please, Toya. And you?
I'm going to give this episode 4 bamboozled window cleaners out of 4. Fine.
Okay.
Lovely. Oh, sorry, it wasn't good enough.
No,
sorry, I
didn't
pick your other option, which I don't even know the reference of.
4 trips for Mrs. Widdicombe to the aquarium.
I don't know what that was from.
Daniel talking about Bertie's little dinosaur, fluffy dinosaur toy, wasn't it? You're not paying attention
during that.
Was it
named after Anne Widdicombe?
Clearly so. Right. Good job, Coronation Street. Let's hope next week's another good one as well.
Yeah.
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 Do it.